Hello, this is Brian. Today is a beautiful Sunday, May 2nd, 2021. Beautiful early mid-afternoon here. And today I want to present a Spotlight on Plants episode. Today I've recorded, this will be my 5th Spotlight episode I've recorded today because it's spring. Things are blooming and looking luscious, so it can't be helped. So what do we have here? This spotlight focuses on the Slender Sunflower. This is Helianthus Gracilentus, Gracilentus, which kind of means slender or graceful in Latin, Gracilentus. It's in the genus Helianthus, like I've said, which places it in the sunflower family, the Asteraceae, or the Aster family. It is a perennial herb that is fairly common in lower elevation areas, especially in sage scrub and chaparral, and especially on disturbing edges thereof. Areas that have also been recently burnt and are recovering, you will often find this plant growing there as well. So it's an herbaceous perennial, and this is a fairly typical size for when this plant gets relatively mature, though I've seen it get a little bit taller than this. And the name slender and Gracilentus refer to potentially a couple things about this plant. First off, the leaves are slender, relatively slender, almost lanceolate. Broadest here, about a third of the way up, and then they narrow to a tip at the point. And they're oppositely arranged. Oppositely arranged lower down, and then they become a little bit more, then they can become alternately arranged on top. So if we're looking at the bottom of the plant, you can see these leaves are opposite one each other on the stem. You can see here, they're opposite one another. Again, they're opposite each other. As you go higher up, a lot of times they tend to become more alternately arranged. So if we're getting up towards where the flowers are, you see some are still opposite. You can see here. Then look at these. They alternate on the stem. And then the flower stalks, the flower head stalks, are also alternate. So it starts out oppositely arranged and ends up alternately arranged towards the top. So, like a lot of other plants in the genus Helianthus, you get some pretty decent sized flower heads. This is not a flower, this is actually a flower head, well, commonly known as a floret. So we have what look like petals are the corollas of the ray florets. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see there's kind of the center of the ray floret, and then you got these little miniature, see these little yellow dots and specks here? These are the disc florets. So the ray florets provide the petal-like structures, and the disc florets look like the middle of a regular flower. And that is very common in Asteraceae. A lot of Asteraceae don't have ray florets either. There are a lot of them that don't have these ray florets that look like these beautiful yellow petals. There are some that only have disc florets. So this is not a flower, this is a flower head. And it looks very much like your garden sunflower, but in smaller form. Your garden sunflower is likely a horticultural variety of Helianthus annuus, which is the annual sunflower. And those cultivars can get up to like 8-10 feet tall and have these flower heads that are bigger than your dinner plate. And then you get these really tasty sunflower seeds. Well, these ones don't produce those real tasty sunflower seeds, and they're a lot smaller and they're a lot grainier looking. But you can definitely tell the relationship. And it's also, the genus Helianthus is fairly closely related to genera like Ensalia and Celeopsis, and they're morphologically similar. check out my video from last week on California bush sunflower and Salea californica for a reference to the genus Salea, which is a relative of Helianthus. So, the texture of the plant is kind of rough and bristly, kind of these bristly hairs, and the leaves are kind of like sandpaper to the touch. So, again, that's another similarity to your sunflower, your Helianthus annuus. The leaves can be kind of rough textured as well. Let's see if there's a fragrance. There is a fragrance. There is a little bit of a sweet fragrance that is quite akin to your garden sunflower. Kind of has that Swedish kind of herby, Swedish/herby aroma. Actually, almost like there's almost like a hint of chocolate if you smell it really carefully enough. Of course, watch where you put your nose in case there's a bumblebee or something on it, but flowers do have a slight fragrance. You gotta get close to it. You gotta get close to the flower heads, but they do have an agreeable fragrance, just like a lot of Helianthus annuus. So, another difference between Helianthus Gracilentus and Helianthus annuus is the fact that the regular annual sunflower is taller, more erect. And of course, the flower heads are usually significantly larger. But our native populations of Helianthus annuus, we do have native populations of it. You'll find them a lot of times. You'll find them in very disturbed areas as well that don't have to be fire damaged or fire reshaped. You can find them on roadsides, even in the middle of town. I live in North Orange County, California, in the suburbs, Anaheim, Fullerton, Buena Park, and you can find sunflowers on the side of the road sometimes. A few native plants on the side of the road, except for an occasional mule fat or something like that. But yes. And here's a beautiful butterfly. I am not an entomologist, so I can't tell you what species this is, but look at that butterfly right there. Interesting. I have no idea what kind of butterfly that is. If you're an entomologist or you have a basic knowledge of butterflies, or if you tell me what this is, please do. That's a beautiful butterfly. Well, this is definitely a plant that pollinators love to get to. And there you have it. Helianthus Gracilentus. Sunflower family, the Asteraceae. Beautiful native California plant. Can be common here in Southern California, especially in these disturbed areas. So do yourself a favor. If you don't have any strict place to be, and you're out cruising just trying to get some air or something, you come across this plant. If you can safely pull over and safely get to it, do it. Just enjoy it. Springtime. Okay, one thing of note. One thing that this plant does, after it flowers and sets seeds, it will die back. It's not an annual, like I said, it's a perennial. So, why am I saying it dies back? Well, the whole plant doesn't die, but the stalks will dry up and die back to the root system. The roots are perennial. The leaves and everything are ephemeral. But in the late, during the summer months and in the fall months, this plant will look like a stack of twigs with the old seed heads on it. It's not dead, it's dormant. The roots will send out more shoots like this that fall in late winter and spring. So it's kind of a winter deciduous perennial herb. Looks dead during the summer and livens up during the winter and spring. So there you have it. Beautiful, beautiful Helianthus Gracilentus, Slender Sunflower, Asteraceae. That was another episode of Spotlight on Plants with Brian. I hope you enjoyed watching it and hope you found it entertaining and informative and helpful in identifying our beautiful Southern California native plants. There you have it. Helianthus Gracilentus. Thanks for watching. See you on the next episode.